hey, there's not going to be any delays. We're not going to do it the way we normally do things. Got him.
Shooting situation is getting very weird now. Look at this post from 6 days ago on TikTok. It literally says Charlie Kirk has passed away. How was this posted 6 days ago on TikTok? I mean, if anyone knows this Benzie News guy, can we try and get hold of him and see how and why he was able to post this 6 days before he was murdered?
Hello, guys. David Vose here. Boy, oh boy, another beautiful day. They just keep coming. And it's blue skies and fluffy clouds and had some rain yesterday, so everything's growing well. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Guys, I want to get right to the point today. We've got a few things we want to talk about because it's very important that we understand what's going on here. So let me take you to another part of this craziness. I mean, it just keeps getting crazier and crazier. And I don't think you're going to really be able to deny after watching this video. I didn't think you could deny it last time, but this is just getting to be too much. And we've got ourselves a conspiracy. I guarantee it. So take a look at this fascinating information. There is a TikToker called Benzie News 2. So let me show you this. We go to this TikTok account. If you look at the bottom where it says Benzie News 2, the date is 0904. So on the 4th, that's 6 days before it happened. And this is still up on TikTok. This is still up on TikTok. Right under where it says Affect Green Screen. Benzie News 2, September the 4th. And this is announcing that Charlie Kirk has just been found passed away. Now, I don't understand the Florida home thing. I thought he lived in Arizona. It says that he'll be remembered as one of the generation's greatest debater, content creators, or news anchors, or whatever it says. Can't read it because of his finger. But go back to this guy's account, Benzie2 News. He has almost 10,000 followers, 168,000 likes. And so this was way down here. I mean, every day he does one. So on the 4th, he did that one. And then, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He's done 8 videos since then. All of them have the date, but that's just too crazy that he would just pick out Charlie Kirk. Maybe somebody should be investigating this guy. So there's another one. Camilla Ariaggio has just passed away. Let's see if that person actually passed away. The first thing I see about Camilla Ariaggio, which I don't know who this person is, it says she is in tears as she slams social media for celebrating Charlie. What? Let me see. Camilla Ariaggio in tears as she slams social media for celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. So she's celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. What? How is she connected to this guy's TikTok? I'll always cheer when a Klan member dies. What? It's sad but expected. Who? Not as hard as that bullet slam. Anyway, this is really, 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 really weird. So, is this woman dead? Is that her there on the left? She looks like some kind of celebrity. More details here. Complex. Camilla Arroyo in tears as she slams social media for celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. Camilla Arroyo has condemned social media's insensitive reactions to the killing of Charlie Kirk, who was shot in Utah during a college event on Wednesday, September the 10th. Oh, she's not the one celebrating. She's slamming other people. Regardless of your political beliefs, one day those children will grow up and see the way their father was brutally murdered. Maybe they're too young to understand right now, but they feel their mom's pain. What comes to mind there is that this TikToker, we investigated, we might find he's very far left liberal. Maybe he's part of this sort of angry, financed by Soros or Putin or, whoever. Elon Musk. I don't know who's financing these guys. The Masons. But maybe they're having these things pop up and we'll all talk about it, but nothing will ever be done because, it was a mistake. And they run a lot of the media. But it's the way that they get this information out to their people, to the Masonic people. Have you ever seen Masons flashing the upside down pyramids or having an upside down cross? That's a way that the people that know what that means can understand that something's going down or you're one of them. It's not for us because we're like, oh, maybe it's evil and blah, 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 and we don't know, and it's crazy, and we got all these conspiracy theories about it, and they think that's funny, but nobody knows why they're doing it except them. And I know this is true because an organization that is part of this Masonic Brotherhood umbrella cults, one of the top several, maybe 3 or 4 most evil satanic cults in the world is Jehovah's Witnesses. You got rituals down in the tunnels underneath their headquarters, and I'm going to show you a clip here. But they did that. They would have a different way of doing it. They had symbolisms in their watchtower, yes. They had symbolisms in their convention places where they would hold their big international conventions or whatever, shaped like pyramids, and their founder's gravestone was a pyramid. They had symbols on their books and so forth. But as I was growing up, I used to be told certain things like, we're going to have a new system of things. And then a few years later, they'd change it. We're going to have a new world order, or we're going to have a new order or something in the new order of things. And they would change it every so many years. They change these little things, these little phrases. There's no reason to change it. Call it system of things, order of things. But they change it every so often because it's kind of like the secret handshake. If you were to enter into a watchtower hall, a kingdom hall, and you were to try to infiltrate them, you'd walk up and you'd say, oh, I can't wait to the new system of things. And they'd say, this man don't know that we're on to him, see? Because he's not really a member, because he would know if he was a member. Last year, we changed that phrase to the new order of things. And so therefore, he's not aware, he's not strong, he's not somebody that we can trust. And they're cautious. And then they can ask you questions and dig in deep and find out who you are, because you obviously don't know the handshake or the secret code. And this is what they do. So they flash these symbols. Remember, Trump used to flash the upside down triangles and the sixes and all of this. It was to let them know, the world of the Masonic occult, that the elite, not the rank and file Masons, they don't know what's going on, just like the Jehovah's Witnesses rank and file. But the elite that speak these mysteries and symbols, it's only known to them, and they laugh at us. But let me show you a little clip to show you what I mean. And after you see this, if you pay attention to what they're saying and what's being spoken, and you'll understand a lot more than what meets the eye. You'll begin to know that the people at the top that run the world are Judeans, and they worship Yahweh, but they can't do that publicly, so they have changed it to Satan. They know that Yahweh is Satan. They know that their religion of murder and genocide is, and sacrificing to their deity is the worship of Satan. They know that. And it was Anton LaVey, which is the Levite. There are Levites, the lawyers of this world that run the world, the attorneys, the politicians all come from attorneys. And the ones that make it to the highest positions are of this Masonic order, which are all in this royal bloodline that goes back to the people who run the world, and they have a secret cult. And they do their rituals in Hebrew. Now, there are a lot of Masons that don't know what the top leaders are doing. They don't know about these rituals. They think they're worshiping the Lord, or whatever. They ought to know better, but they don't. Just like Jehovah's Witnesses ought to know they shouldn't shun their children. They're, they may be greedy and immature and stupid, but they're not the ones perpetrating the evil rituals. But here's what they do, and I'm going to show you this little clip, and then we'll get right back to you.
1997 was a very important year for the Masons in Turkey. Hidden cameras had allegedly recorded secret rituals held in Masonic temples, which were then broadcast on Turkish television for several days. The secret recordings shocked the Turkish public, as well as Masons who had not yet attained higher degrees. The expose revealed secret Masonic activity largely unknown to the public since the establishment of the first Masonic lodge in Istanbul in 1738. In one clip, new candidates are blindfolded and made to repeat an oath of secrecy.
Aykut Erensoy, mesleği elektrik mühendisi. Kenan Ali Akman, mesleği serbest ticaret. Adayların kimlikleri anlaşıldı. Onları içeri aldınız.
In another clip, we see what appears to be a ritual performed with only high-level 33rd degree Masons in attendance, where the senior master allegedly drank the blood of a goat which had just been sacrificed, followed by some prayers recited in Hebrew.
So notice that there's black and white checkered underneath where they're doing the ritual. You'll find this in all your courthouses and temples and Masonic places all over the world. This is proof positive that it is this group, this Masonic group, and they speak Hebrew and have rituals where they sacrifice to Satan, which is Set in the Egyptian, which is the Yahweh. It's just another name for Yahweh, and it is Yahwehism. Masonic religion is Yahwehism with an umbrella of the Gentiles that work as their servants and slaves underneath them, and they are oblivious and do not know. But these black and white checkered tile comes from Yahweh with the basalt and the marble checkered pavement that lead up to Yahweh's throne. And you'll see that also in the aid book, Aid Bible Understanding that Jehovah's Witnesses put out. And this also shows and proves, because, they meet in halls, like Masonic halls, and they do all of this and do the rituals, sacrifice to Satan. That's what they do. And here is the proof that Jehovah's Witnesses are Masonic. I mean, really, this is. And most people wouldn't even notice it or realize it. But, I had to try and, I remember from being a kid and having, just pondering and seeing all these books that Jehovah's Witnesses would publish. One of them was this Aid to Bible Understanding, and there's an online version of it, 1971, which is probably about the same year I was looking at it as a child. I was about 10 years old. And this is what they showed. In their 1971 Aid to Bible Understanding, they have a diagram of the Temple of Solomon. And notice the black and white checker in the outer court. Now, that is significant because beyond the outer court is the court of the Gentiles. And within, the inner court, only priests or Israelites could go. The outer court is like representation of this world. The law of Yahweh as it is given to the people of the world, the worldliness of good and evil, because Yahweh maketh good and he maketh evil. He maketh light and he maketh dark. And that's what it says in the book of Isaiah. And so the fact that Jehovah's Witnesses did a diagram of this and showed the black and white checkered outer court pavement that is described in the book of Ezekiel and the book of Exodus, where the marble and the basalt pavement that led up to the throne of Yahweh, you wouldn't necessarily, nobody would know from that verse in the Bible that that's what it's talking about. But that's how the Judean people, the Torah, that's how people of this Jewish religion interprets that. And they have put that in all of their courthouses and temples and Masonic halls. And here Jehovah's Witnesses are showing it, but it's not something that's blatant or there in the Bible. They had to interpret it that way and then put it that way. They are either aware that courts and Masonic temples have black and white checkered flooring leading up to the pulpit or the judge's seat or pulpit. You go through a certain gate and you have to go through a barrier because you're going into the inner sanctuary. And they either knew all of this. How would they have known it, this esoteric wisdom? They would have learned it from the Masons. And everyone who knows this information either does it the way I do it, with prayer and fasting, and the Lord reveals it to me, or you are a Mason and learn it from them. Now, I was never a Mason. I did learn a few clues by being a Jehovah's Witness, but the rank and file Jehovah's Witnesses do not know that they are admitting that they know these mysteries because they are Masons, and they're trained to lie to the Gentile, to the Goyim, to the idiots. They lie about everything to Jehovah's Witnesses, to Masons, to everybody in the world. But they got their little hand signs and their little secret things and the little secret manuals that they give to only the elders. And then there's more secrets that people like my dad had that went back to the organization. And I did learn some things from my father, but my dad never revealed to me what he was taught in those meetings. And I have had to, since then, which I'm going to do a video hopefully tomorrow, or, I've been trying to do it, but I keep having all of this Charlie Kirk stuff coming up. But I want you to understand that Jehovah's Witnesses are demonstrating by the black and white checkered in the outer court that they not only knew how the Jewish religion has run the world with all the courthouses and Masonic temples all over the world with the same black and white checkered, they had to imagine then that this is somehow going back to the temple, which can only be divined by the fact that in the book of Exodus, going up to the Yahweh's throne is this pavement of checkered black and marble checker work. And no one would even notice that. The Jehovah's Witnesses knew not only where that pavement was and what it meant and all of this, but they wrote it in their Aid to Bible Understanding. Now, they have scrapped this book. You can still find it in archives, which is what I have here. This is an internet archive. So I went back and got this from this huge book called Aid to Bible Understanding, which is like, I think, 1,200 pages in fine print. It's almost as big as the Arancha book, if you've ever seen that. It's just huge. It's way bigger than the Bible, and it's their doctrines and teachings and beliefs, which I didn't know when I was a kid, but it's full of lies. And then it dawned on me, this is the modus operandus of the Masons. They did it to Jehovah's Witnesses. They hide these things in plain sight with symbolisms, and they're doing it to you, the public, with these events in the world and with symbolisms and Hollywood. And you guys know, as I've told you, Charles Taze Russell made Hollywood, the picture studios, the motion picture industry. Charles Taze Russell made the first motion picture. Then people that were working for Charles Taze Russell created 3 I think there were 3 motion picture companies. One of them was called Pyramid Pictures or something like that because he was into pyramids. And they made the phonograph, and they were part of this whole Anton LaVey, cooperation to start pumping out satanic music, satanic movies, violence, and wickedness all over the world, run by the top elite Masons who have rituals in Hebrew and sacrifice goats and drink their blood. And also sacrifice babies from time to time, and human sacrifices, which if they did murder Charlie Kirk, that was a blood sacrifice. However, I mean, Princess Diana was murdered on an altar, right? Literally in a tunnel where there was an ancient altar. She was a blood sacrifice. They do this all the time. When you see, well, the whole abortion industry is part of this, but I'm not going to say too much more about that. But I want you to understand that we're completely, all of us, being deceived. I guarantee it. Further, that picture you see on the screen there is a Jehovah's Witness convention hall gathering place or whatever. It's very apparent that it is a temple in the exact dimensions, by the way, as some other pictures I'll show you in the Masonic, design. And the parking lot is even part of the picture because that's the apron that the pharaohs would wear, and then the pyramid has the eye of Osiris. It's very, very clear. The entire thing is a depiction of the temple that you see on the dollar bill and stuff. This is Charles Taze Russell's grave. That is Masonic signs, the crown and the cross, definite Masonic symbolisms. And this was the not his gravestone, but it was a monument near his gravestone. Now you see on the right the Watchtower Convention Hall in the shape of that pyramid with the Eye of Osiris, and you see the 2 rows of parking, which mimic the kind of a hat goes over the head. There's the eye, and then the hat droops down, and it's got 2 parses that droop down over both shoulders, and that is that hat thing that you see there, and it's supposed to represent that. These symbolisms are definitively Masonic, and I'll show you that here in 1 second. Those symbols were all over the literature, the early Watchtower literature. They were on the early Watchtower itself, and it's just so obvious that there's another one. You see the symbolism. That's the exact symbolism right there on the dollar bill. It's a conspiracy. That's the same symbol there, mixed with other symbolisms. But that's the symbol of Jehovah's Witnesses. And notice it's the New Order Seclorum, or the New World Order. And that is Masonic. And the New World Order is created by the Masons, which are literally nothing more or less than Judaism. And they are ruling and reigning over the world. And all of you idiots don't even know it. Now, I shouldn't call you idiots, but, it's funny that you didn't notice that was on your Watchtower, you Jehovah's Witnesses. It's funny that you didn't know that this same symbol is a part of Masonry. It is a sign. These guys are all liars. But, yeah, let's get back to what we were talking about, though. Okay, so let's go find out if she's really dead. When I pulled this up, somebody's talking about Charlie Kirk's not dead or something. And I see this picture, and I'm like, well, that's interesting. The one on the left is the person that they thought was the suspect that was putting out his picture, I guess. I'm assuming. And there on the right is this guy they've caught. And they say it's the same guy, but, it does look a little bit, I don't know that's the same guy. The chin is different. The nose is a little different, even though it's close, but the mouth is clearly different. But you can't see his eyes or his forehead because he's got a hat on, but I'm not sure that's the same guy. Anyway, And this is no. Social media influencer and model Camilla Araujo is alive and well. Rumors of her death are untrue and likely stem from her emotional viral video condemning those who celebrated the recent assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Huh. And then I go back to the Goggle page, and NASA announces discovery of life on Mars with high degree of confidence. Life on Mars? What the fiddly diddly? Let's take a look at that. Oh, there's spots. Leopard spot. NASA announces discovery of life on Mars with high degree of confidence. I know this is completely off subject, but I'm just scrolling through here and see this. A recent analysis of Sapphire Canyon mudstone core drilled by NASA Perseverance rover in July of 2024 adds new evidence to the ongoing search for life on Mars, describes mineral and textures that on Earth are often linked to microbial activity. Oh, okay, whatever. So there's a book that was supposed to have been published, like that one we saw yesterday, called The Legacy of Charlie Kirk. And it was supposed to have also have been published on the 10th, the day he was murdered. And so I wanted to look that up and see if it's true. And I wanted to ask AI, and they just would not tell me nothing, honey. They have changed all the rules all of a sudden, and they're not letting me get any information. I'll show you that here. I spent 30 minutes trying to do it. Up until this September 10th, when Kirk was shot, I could go on AI mode, ask a question, and have an ongoing series of questions, and they would remember my question. And if I was talking about Charlie Kirk and they said something, then I could just keep asking more questions about Charlie Kirk, and they knew what I was doing, the past questions and everything. And I've been at this, and every time I write a question, they forget it. And this is obviously purposeful. So I asked, why are you suddenly not keeping my question in the area above my comment? You used to keep my comments ongoing. And then they just said something went wrong. So I said, why are you suddenly not keeping my question in the area? And I go on to, whatever question above my comment. And they go, it's a technical issue with the conversation history display. I apologize for the inconvenience. There are a few things that could cause this. A recent system update, the ongoing conversation is very long, the temporary glitch or a bug. This problem is not unique to this platform. It's, none of this is true. They are lying. So I go ahead and I say, so will you answer me now and not give me reading material? Was there a book published on or about September the 10th called The Legacy of Charlie Kirk? And again, over and over again, they will not answer me. They'll give me these articles that have nothing to do with what I'm saying. I'm going to go to this first one where it says AI generated books, plural. See if they mention that one. Amazon removes likely AI generated book about Charlie Kirk, but that's just this one book. Oh, here it is. This is it. The Legacy of Charlie Kirk, a biography of his rise, his movements, and his tragic death. Read one of the book titles. The Charlie Kirk Shooting, A Nation on Edge. That's another one. Perhaps the most viral of these hastily published books was titled The Shooting of Charlie Kirk, and we've discussed that one. So it seems like I'm not going to be able to find out very much about this one, but I'm going to keep trying. I did find it here on Amazon, The Legacy of Charlie Kirk, a biography of his rise, his movement. In this powerful biography, Andrew West traces Kirk's journey from a curious teenager in Illinois to becoming a face of a national movement that's energized. So I wanted to click it and find out. And it says, sorry, we couldn't find that page. Now look at this. This is on X, formerly Twitter. An account by the name of Jezebel. Really? And there's a picture of Charlie. And look at what it says below the picture. 10:49 a.m., September 8th. 2025, 92.3 million views. We paid some itsy witches to curse Charlie Kirk. Okay. So this is saying basically that there is somebody that obviously doesn't believe in Jesus and, is trying to style themselves as a Jezebel, which is what? Some whore? I don't know. But they obviously like witches and they think witches are bad. Actually, witches means a wise woman, but they're turning it into some old woman with a long nose and warts and wearing a black robe. Well, that's a priest, but a black-robed priest, right? But, they were called wise women and wizards were wise men. But now we're calling them evil because we've turned everything upside down and backwards. That's how they confuse you. But anyway, they paid some itsy witches to curse Charlie Kirk. See, a real wise woman would never curse anyone. But these people calling themselves witches nowadays are all confused. Most of them are literally duped or brainwashed into thinking it's just a fun and games thing. But the people at the top that created Satanism, it were Levites. And by the way, the Masons, their rituals are written in Hebrew. Masons are run and controlled by Hebrews. The rank and file members of all the different nations don't know. They're not privy to what they're doing. They're all being duped. They do not know, just like Jehovah's Witnesses, that there are satanic rituals going on beneath their headquarters. And I'm going to show you a couple of things, but only because I want you to understand that this group that run the world have duped y'all. The people above you know what is going on. They're sacrificing goats and drinking their blood. That is the law of Yahweh in the Torah. And you were the goyim, you were the dog, and you were the unsuspecting victim. And if you will obey them, you might get to be a wood chopper or a water carrier. That's what Jehovah's Witnesses used to teach, that all the great multitude of people that become Jehovah's Witnesses are just water carriers and wood choppers. They are not going to have an inheritance in the land. They are going to be slaves. And if you ever break their law or they don't have any more use for you, they're going to kill you. And they might then take your woman and breed her. That is the law. And they can lie to you, they can cheat you, they can murder you without any consequence, because according to them, you are an animal. And you are classified as an animal, and you can kill animals if you own them. You can sacrifice them. And in fact, in the Jewish law, it is not only animals that they sacrificed. It was the firstborn of your children. But you could redeem your firstborn by sacrificing a lamb instead. However, if you did not sacrifice a lamb instead, you had to kill your firstborn. All of this, people have no idea. So I don't know who these itsy witches are that cursed Charlie Kirk, or even if that's just another psyop, because, now that's not saying that he died, but 2 days before Charlie Kirk died, it appears that some itsy witches were already trying to curse. Now, what that means, probably not in the sense of a witchy curse, but probably they had some political transgender motives where they all got together in their little, I don't know, socialist, communist group. You people, you kids that think that you got some little organization, that's going to, that give you the right to be witches and mutilate children and do all these crazy, evil things. You think it's your choice when you have no idea. You've just been duped, just like a glutton is duped by his pizza or a drunkard is duped by his whiskey. You are being duped by your carnal lower nature. You are not, it is not a choice to go around and diddle all the children and all the people and diddle them until you end up dying. That is not a choice. That is an insanity. And you're being duped. And your little organizations that run you and herd you like sheep are these Masons, heretofore explained. Just saying. Now, here it is on Newsweek, right? A prominent article, paper, whatever these things are, says a liberal website paid itsy witches to hex Charlie Kirk days before assassination. A progressive? This seems like a regress, right? We're going to die and kill people and curse people. Is that a progress? Are you people stupid? A progressive US-based website paid online witches to curse conservative activist Charlie Kirk days before he was fatally shot during a student question and answer question at Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah. Charlie Kirk shooting, why it matters. Political figures from both sides, including former President Barack Obama, the other communist, right? It's got a transgender white. I mean, come on, what's going on? Maybe he's the original transgender, right? I guess his wife is, or his husband, or whatever. But it says, along with other prominent Democratic leaders, have condemned the shooting of Turning Point USA co-founder Kirk. But the article published by online magazine Jezebel, which has also since condemned the shooting, is likely to stir anger. What to know about the curse put on Kirk? The Jezebel article titled "We Paid Some Itsy Witches to Curse Charlie Kirk" was published on Monday. Here we have other places. New York Post, famed feminist website Jezebel paid witches. Yahoo feminist site paid witches. Okay. This is literally the craziest thing I've ever seen. All of this. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen. And I think it's going to get worse. I think that the misinformation and the chaos is going to swarm everyone, and no one's going to know which way is up or down, left or right. And they're going to fall right off the cliff into the pit of oblivion because you won't wake up. Man, somebody needs to, tell you the truth, man. You're losing it. Okay. And now listen, whoever you are, if you're listening to this and you're one of the losing it's, listen, that doesn't mean we don't love you. We know what's going on. Maybe you don't. Just like why, when you walk up to a woman barely getting out of her car, 500 pounds, with a tube up her nose and an air tank in the back, and she's going into the Circle K or the 7-Eleven for a 32-ounce Slurpee. You see, she's lost it. It doesn't mean we don't love her, that she's not a child of the Lord, but she has become a glutton. She has become a drunkard or something like that. And it just means that it can happen. And by the time you get to be 500 pounds with a tube up your nose, it's hard to turn back. I know. But friends, all of you, you must know that if you're sliding down this precipice into hell, just reach out your hand and I will help you out. Contact me. If you need help, if you need somebody to just care, I do care. I understand there's mitigating circumstances that have made you angry. That your mother, didn't love you, and your father beat you, and your brother was in prison, and you were left alone as a child. You were raped. All of this it's not even mitigating circumstances. It's the truth. Even this young man that had a transgender partner up there in Orem, Utah, that may or may not have been in a conspiracy and either is a fake or some liberal Jezebel group is orchestrating fakeness, which I guess they've infiltrated the FBI and the CIA. And by the way, the Kash Patel is reportedly also one of these LGBTQ whatever things. There's been some things that have come out that have been squashed, but look, you guys think this is somehow a choice. I'm not talking about your feelings or sexual orientation or whatever. I don't even want to discuss that. I'm talking about the obvious ridiculousness when you see somebody staggering down the road every evening with a bottle of whiskey, living under the bridge. You know they got a problem, and it isn't that they're not a child of the Lord. It's that they need truth, and you need truth. Whoever you are, you need to look the truth square in the face. If you cannot receive the love of the truth, you will not be saved or delivered in the coming wrath. Now, eventually, because you're an immortal soul, you'll be incarnated again. You'll have to go through all of this, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. That is what you will pay. The very price of your mistakes is to see the consequences until the suffering causes you to change. Understand, you cannot escape from this suffering until you simply stop, wake up, and ask the Lord for help. But that's all I'm going to say about that here. Just understand that those of you, any of you who may be just clicking on this and thinking, oh, I hate this guy because he just said something that I don't like. But understand, friends, I really love you guys. And of course, you understand the true deity really, truly loves you. And you may not understand that when you hear that. But I will tell you that there is love in this universe. Deity is love, and deity is light. Deity is spirit, it's invisible, because you have a soul, you have a mind, and that's the creators, the higher consciousness. And I guarantee that deity and Jesus Christ loves you very, very much. He loves you with all his heart. So I'm going to go ahead and go. And I hope you have a wonderful evening. The Lord will bless you. We'll see you tomorrow.